If you think that psychological safety means no tough talks, that is why your team is going silent in meetings and complaining in hallways. Psychological safety is a non-negotiable if you're in leadership, especially in healthcare leadership, because when people feel safe enough to speak up, they will stay and make those tough conversations worth sticking around for. In this video, I will outline 3 things you should not do if you want to create psychological safety as a leader in healthcare. Of course, as a leader, I don't mean you need to have a formal title. You don't need to have manager, director, or charge in your title. Some of the best leaders I've worked with are people that I've worked with shoulder to shoulder, and they've taught me what it means to create a psychological safe work environment. We're going to talk about the importance of body language, to not ignore emotions, and to not jump to conclusions. A perfect example of when psychological safety isn't present is the 2009 MTV VMA Music Video Awards. If you have seen this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Taylor Swift is on stage accepting an award for Best Music Video, and Kanye West invited himself on stage, took the microphone from Taylor to say that Beyonce had the best music video of all time. Unsurprisingly, Kanye was booed off stage, which left Taylor on stage by herself. And if you take a look, she looks a little bit withdrawn and pretty uncomfortable. That is what psychological safety is not. Psychological safety feels like being booed. It feels like being cut off, being shut down. And a lot of times, people who are not feeling psychologically safe feel like their words and their contributions don't matter. If people feel like that, they are very unlikely to speak up, and we do not want that in healthcare. In healthcare, we want to know when a risk is present, when people notice deterioration or change in patient status. Psychological safety does look like Beyonce later on in that same award show, who won an award and invited Taylor on stage to finish her acceptance speech. Beyonce said something along the lines of, "I remember when I was a teenager and I won my first award, and I want to invite Taylor up here as well to have her moment to shine." That is what psychological safety looks like. It looks like inviting people into the conversation, giving them space to talk, giving them space to share their contributions, and actually sometimes handing over a microphone or giving them attention. That is psychological safety. When people are made to feel like their contributions matter and they feel safe showing up in a situation that might be a little bit risky. If you're a leader, don't be like Kanye. Be like Beyonce, as if you needed another reason to be like Beyonce. The first thing you want to avoid if you are trying to create a psychologically safe work environment is making sure that you are using the appropriate body language. Body language communicates so much. I cannot emphasize this enough. I'm sure that you have had a conversation with someone who is on their phone. Does it look like this person is listening? Probably not. Body language matters. You want to show people that you are engaged. Eye contact. You don't need to make it weird. Just maintain some sort of eye contact. Fully face the person who's speaking. Square your shoulders, sometimes leaning in or nodding along when people are speaking. A little bit of intentional body language can go such a long way. It actually shows people that you are listening and engaged. If you are in leadership and you have an opportunity to have a tough conversation with someone on your team, it could be helpful to pick a neutral work environment. The second thing you want to do is not avoid rising emotions. Emotions are part of the human experience. And a lot of times they're part of conflict, because conflict can feel incredibly uncomfortable for people. By engaging people and recognizing emotions, it doesn't mean you're taking ownership of those emotions. It simply means that you are recognizing them, and perhaps you are either de-escalating them if someone is really upset or really angry, or engaging people. By de-escalating, it could sound like, "Hey, I'm hearing a lot of frustration. I want us to remember that we're on the same team. We both want the same things." In healthcare, I can't tell you how many times I've said that when I walk into a room and I notice that a patient and their family member are really upset about a result or something else that happened before I even had a chance to engage with them. By acknowledging the emotion and then proceeding to say, "Hey, we're on the same team," what you're doing is saying, "Hey, I get it. This is really tough, and I want to help you." If you have a chance to engage somebody, maybe you're imagining Taylor on that stage who's really disengaged. It's saying, hey, I know that this could feel really uncomfortable, and I really would appreciate your perspective here. Same thing as de-escalation. You are acknowledging the emotion before jumping into problem solving mode. If someone is really, really upset or incredibly uncomfortable, if you go directly into problem solving mode, they are probably much less likely to be engaged. By calling out the emotion and recognizing it, you are not taking accountability for those emotions. You are simply saying, hey, I see it, this is tough, and I still want to fix this with your perspective in mind. The third thing you want to avoid is jumping to conclusions too fast. I'm sure that you've interacted with somebody like this. They walk in and they say, hey, we're going to do this, and this is the plan. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, that plan doesn't account for X, Y, and Z. I didn't even have a chance to share my perspective. I showed up to this meeting or to this engagement with a lot to share, and I put a lot of work into this. By jumping to next steps too fast, what you're doing is shutting down everybody else who has a stake and responsibility for whatever you're trying to solve. And it's a really good way to probably dissuade people from showing up and contributing in the future. By engaging with curiosity off the bat, what you are doing is not only inviting other people's perspectives and inviting them to a narrative that they can be a part of, you're also informing your own perspective so it is more comprehensive. So you can decide on the best thing to do. In healthcare leadership, this is so important. Healthcare is a team sport. Everybody has a very important perspective and an important hand in how patients receive care. When you are in leadership, sometimes you might not be doing the frontline work. By getting feedback and engagement and perspectives from nurses on the front lines, techs on the front lines, doctors on the front lines, APPs on the front lines, respiratory therapists on the front lines, what you're doing is getting their perspective in a certain issue to make sure that the solution works for everybody. Approaching things with curiosity is a really great way to create psychological safety, but then also proceed with things that will create actual physical safety for people too. In healthcare, psychological safety isn't a nice to have. It is absolutely essential for high functioning teams and quality patient care. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. My name is Adrianna Munoz. I am a current ER nurse, and I talk about interpersonal conflict. I facilitate keynote presentations, workshops, and do coaching for people who are looking to improve their communication skills when things get tough. And as an ER nurse, I've had thousands of tough conversations. I completely understand any of the headaches that you might be working through. I know that these conversations are really uncomfortable, but the good news is they are learnable skills. I hope to see you around more. And if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments below. I check all of them myself. Have a great day.